So here's the demo of Oxymeter app. You can place your index finger on your camera, then this application will manage to get you your oxygen saturation label. And how does it works? Actually, the mobile phones uses light emitting diodes as a light source to evaluate SpO2 and the change of the light intensity in the red and green color channels in the video frames of the patient fingertip are properly processed. So here you can see the result also. And now I'm checking again you have to put your index finger on the camera of your smartphone, then it will evaluate the oxygen level. So how does it works and how can we make such applications? This video will contain the whole tutorial. So here I'm waiting for the result and you will able to see the result now. So here you can see that. Of course, this app is not for clinical use. Okay, so now I have to start the Android Studio to create this app. So first of all, let's open the Android Studio and then click on create new project. After that you have to give the name of the application. So here I am giving the name as Oxygen Meter. Okay, and make sure the selected language should be Java, and then you have to click on finish. The Gradle is building and finally it is built up. Let's go to the manifest file to add the permission for using the camera and its features. Okay, so let me add it here, like uses permission, and then we will be gonna choose the camera here. Okay, again we have to use the feature also, as camera is part of the hardware, so we have to give it as Android and then hardware, then camera, like that. So camera 2. Okay, and now what I gonna do here is Android name, and here I have to give like Android hardware dot camera 2, then flash, as we gonna see the red light and the green light and its intensity. So turning on the flash is the most important thing, that's why we need the permission also. So we are doing it for camera 2 and camera separately, and then the another permission, and this permission will be for like Android dot and then permission, then dot flash light. Okay, should be like that. Yes, it's almost done, and for now let me add one more permission here, and this permission will be like Android dot permission, and again I have to add here like wake lock. Okay, like whenever your application is processing with your data, then the wake of the phone will be going on. So this is the library for using IIR filters, that is written in Java for high pass, low pass, band pass and band stop bandwidth, as we are going to do some use of that intensity and bandwidth and wavelength kind of thing. So we're gonna need this library, so you don't need to check it here. I have made a zip and you will be able to find the download link of this file within the video description. Then you can download this, and after downloading this file you have to extract it. Like this is a zip file, you have to extract, and let me open it and will show you but before that I have to copy it and paste it within the Android Studio in this package name. Okay, so Control B, and then you have to do the refactor part. Okay, so this little library of IIR filters is added successfully, and now let me open it and show it to you. Okay, so here you can see the various things are there, like concurrency, complex pair cascade, and boycott poll. So okay, and now what we gonna do next is to come within this activity, but now we have to create some activities. So I have to create an empty activity. So now here you have to give the name of the empty activity. So I'm giving the name as oxygen, then calculate. Okay, then click on finish. After that, right click again. We have to create one more activity. So choose the empty activity, and here we have to give the name of this activity. So I'm giving the name as oxygen process. Okay, now we have this activities like main activity oxygen calculate, and we have made a class also, and that class is image processing class. Okay, so no worries, and the Gradle is building, so we have to wait for that time, and now it is building. Almost we have to wait for 1 or 2 minutes, as it completely depend upon your machine, that which kind of hardware you are using. So beside this, the main activity, you can see that image processing class that you have to also create by the same method. Okay, and now I have to come within this drawable, and I have to make some drawable resources. Right click and then click on that. Okay, again we have to give the name of the file like circular, and then progress bar. Okay, and what we have to do here is to change it to shape. Okay, so I have changed it to shape, and then within this we have to make a circular progress bar. So we have to add such properties for this shape. So here I gonna add them, and one of them is inner radius ratio is 5, and then shape is ring. So as you always seen the progress bar in the ring form, and now the thickness is 10 dp and use label is true. Okay, so these are some properties for the shape, and now you can add the color also. So I'm adding the color, and I'm using the hex color for it, and it is sky blue kind of thing. Okay, and now I have to create one more drawable resource. So I will be creating it like this and giving it as text input. Okay, no issues. And for now, what I have to do is to give the borders for the text field. So here the same thing, we have to use the shape, and then within the shape we have to give few properties like what kind of shape it is. So the shape is a rectangle, and then after that we have to add another property, and that should be like padding. Okay, so the padding is there, and now we have to give the color for this border. So I am giving the color here, and the color is white. So now the corners, and the corners should be like bottom right radius will be 15 dp, and after that bottom left radius will also be 15 dp, and then top right radius is 15 dp again, and top left radius is 15 dp. Okay, so these things are prepared right now, and now we have to come within this class. So this is the class image processing. It's not an activity, it's in class. Okay, so we have to make some variables here. So for that, let me make this abstract, and then I'm gonna make a function kind of thing here. So private static, and then int, then color decoder YUV. So what we are doing within this image processing, as to process image we have to change its type to bitmap, and then we have to make color changes also, like it should follow the RGB concept, and then we have to also make sure the size of the image that will gonna to that library. Okay, so for that purpose this class is being developed. Okay, so now I've taken it like byte array. The image is coming in the form of byte array, and its width and height and its type. Okay, if it is null then return 0. Then I'm making a variable for frame size and taking it as width into height. Okay, and now I'm making sum, then sum r equals to 0, then again sum g equals to 0, and again sum b equals to 0. Okay, again for j equals to 0, and what I gonna do next as yp equals to 0. It's a loop variables. Okay, and then j should be less than height, again j plus plus. Okay, no issues. And within this loop, what I'm gonna do, let me check for it. Again, what we have, like another int ubp, and then we are adding the frame size with using these operators, like it's an right shift operator, then multiplying it by width, and there will be some bit manipulation operations, and based on that the image will be processed. So you don't need to understand these whole things. If you want to understand the image processing, then you have to read about it. Otherwise, if you are using it within your project, then you just have to get the code from somewhere, or type this code. Okay, so it's like that. And then we have this hex, and again -16. Okay, no issue. And again by is less than 0, and here I am giving its y less than 0, then make y equals to 0. Okay, and for now within this if condition I'm making a bit and then checking it for a 0, equality with 0, and then making b equals to 0 xff. Okay, it's on the form of x, and then checking it with that YUV 420p. Okay, so what is 420p? 420p is a format, like you have seen the format of the images. Simply we call them dimensions. Okay, now we are doing the same working on the dimensions right now, and for that we have that frame size also. And now this is y size, and then multiplying it by 1192. Again we have r, and what we're gonna do with r is pressing this 1634 and multiplying it with v. Okay, then we need for RGB, so making it for G and V also. Okay, so like that we have to minus 833, and then what I gonna do next is to minus 400 and multiply it with U. Okay, then we have RGB here. So for B, what I gonna do is to plus 2066 and then multiplying it with U. Okay, so this is done for the color RGB, and now I have to make some space so that the screen will be visible to you. And now I'm checking if r is less than 0, then make r equals to 0, else if r is greater than 262143, then what I gonna do, make it r value. Okay, make it the same value. Okay, and now I have to check it for the rest two, that is G and V. So I'll just copy it and paste it here, and then I'll just change the variable name here. So I'm changing the name as G, and then for that we have G, and now I have to do it for B part. Okay, so again copy and paste, and you have to just substitute B instead of G here, so that it will be followed up for RGB. Okay, so make it B, and here also it is B. Again, now after this whole thing, make a pixel variable and give it hex value here, and for now this value is given, and make bitwise OR, and then we have to do the right shift by 6 and then this to find the pixel. Okay, so this is a kind of a logical expression to find the pixel. Okay, and it is finding the pixel based on that RGB that we have generated in the previous code or the above lines you are seeing. Okay, so now the and the code. Okay, it's done, and now what I gonna do is int red. So for red we have to just do some bit manipulations with this pixel, with the generated pixel, and doing it for both like red, blue and green. Okay, so this is the green part. Just have to change the some mathematical value and it will get up that thing automatically. Okay, so the blue part, doesn't need all these things. Okay, so this is done, like pixels are given. Now we have to just sum all these things, like sum separately for separate colors, like some R for some red, and then some G for some green, and then some B for some blue. Okay, so we are just adding up within the sum variable, and after that I have to make some space here, and let me cut that extra space. Also, I hope you can see the screen clearly. Now I have to make a switch statement here. So what does that switch statement contain? Like it will have cases, it's a common thing. Okay, so in the first case, like sum equals to sum r, and then we're gonna break it. Okay, and I will be copying up this case and pasting it by Control C and Control V. Okay, and doing it for like 2 for sum r, and then making it sum b, and then finally for sum g, like sum green. Okay, now we have to also return the sum from here. Okay, so I have written that, and now I'll be just removing this space, and I'm out of that function. Okay, now another like static towel, and then color decoder RGB. Okay, so this function will also get that byte array, and then the dimensions of the picture, like width and height, and then type. Okay, so what we gonna do within this function is to give YUB 420p. If the image array is null, then we have to return 0. Otherwise, the frame size, and the frame size is width into height, again the sum. So we have the function for it, and passing all these things within that the above function. Okay, now just we have to return sum divided by frame size. Okay, so now one error, I forgot to place the semicolon here. Please, now you can see that there are no errors. This class is error free. I'm just scrolling it. If you find any error, then you can correct it by pausing the video. Okay, now this particular class is complete. Now I'm in activity. Also, I'm telling you, this image will be used for showing you, like, you have to place your finger like this. Okay, so I am now in the designing part, that is the XML coding. So what I gonna do, first of all, just make it linear layout instead of constraint layout. I have converted it to linear layout. Okay, no issues. And then what I gonna do is to add few properties for it, the newer ones. Okay, so I'm adding such as gravity and orientation, and after that I have to add the padding from the left, and it should be 64 dp, and again padding from the top is taken as 16 dp, and now the padding from the right is 64 dp. Again the padding from the bottom is 16 dp. So this padding from the four directions is completed, and now within this linear layout, what I gonna have to do is to just add image view here, that particular image which is showing that how to place your index finger on the camera of the smartphone. Okay, so for that we are adding this image here for that particular information. Okay, so I'm adding it like this layout width, and then we have layout height also. Okay, and we are managing it with customized values. Now you can change it according to you. If you want any other image, then you can apply. Okay, so where do I found that image? The image is found on Google. If I type like that mobile app oxygen meter, then you will be able to see those images which are related to each of them. Okay, and now, like, we have given this, again what I have to do after giving the space, and I have to give the text view here. So I'm giving the text view and like giving weight for it. Okay, so weight also plays vital role when we are using these XML layout codes. Okay, and now the weight will contain the information like that, where you have to place your index finger, how to place that, and what other things are required, like for the safety purpose kind of thing. Also, I am repeating once more, like this app is not for any clinical use. This app is made for educational purpose only. Okay, so I'm adding the text as per it is there, and like that, place your index finger and it should be near the camera. Okay, and make sure it is fully covered and don't move your finger until we have to add the new line also. So this slash n is just making your text and newer line. Okay, so I'm adding this much of text from my side. You can modify it, you can use different images, like all these things are easy, but to understand this thing, like what we are making, is really important. Okay, so now finally the text for this particular text view is completed, and I have placed like after pressing start. Okay, now we have to give the alignment also, like please move it to the center part. Okay, and then we have the text size also, like whatever text size you want, you will be able to see that. Make the text style bold so that the user can get some help from it. Like if the first time user will open the application and run it, then it will be able to understand little bit sign Chinese. Okay, and now like space, and what we are doing with that space, like button, and making the button with these properties, and I have to add the text also for this particular button. Like button is like measurement start. Okay, and now I have to give the padding for it, and I'm giving the padding as to make sure that it's 10 dp. Okay, let's change it to 15. Okay, 15 is I think pretty fine. And now what I'm gonna do is to see if there are properties like margin from the bottom, and I'm taking the margin as 55, 50 and 65 dp. I'm just checking, and will be taking up the margin up to within the range of 50 or 60. Okay, so no issues. I have to give the ID for this button, that I forgot. Like this button is having the ID like start VS. Okay, so this layout is completed. You can see that there is no error, and this is really a simple layout. Okay, you can make more dynamic by adding card views and all those material design kind of things within this UI part. Okay, so let me go to the another one, which is known as oxygen process. Okay, so what does this will contain as a design? So first of all, remove this constraint to linear. After that, we have to add some properties for this linear layout, adding the gravity as a center, and then the orientation for this linear layout will be vertical. After that, we have to give the padding from the left side as 64 dp, and then padding from the top will be 16 dp. Okay, then padding from right will be 64 dp. Again, padding from bottom is 16 dp. Okay, so now we have to go within this linear layout. So I am now within this linear layout, and I have to add here the surface view. So here I'm adding the surface view with the width as fill parent and layout height as 0 dp and the weight is 1. So this surface layout will show you the camera. Okay, then we have to give the ID for this particular surface layout, and the ID will be preview. Okay, so it will just preview the camera. That's why I've given that ID. You can give ID according to your choice, but you have to remember that ID. Okay, then the progress bar, as the oxygen meter will take some time to give you the result. So till then this progress bar will keep on rotating. Okay, so giving its property like width and height as 100 dp 100 dp, and then the margin. Okay, the margin from the top is given as 15 dp, and now the indeterminate will be false. Okay, and then max 27. Okay, again the progress is set as 1. Okay, no issues. And now the progress drawable, as we have made that custom design, circular design within that drawable folder, so we have to add it here only. So I have added it, and for now what I have to do is to give the ID for this progress bar, and I'm giving the ID as O2PB. Okay, no issues. The ID is given successfully, and now this progress bar is given and the surface view is okay. So this is completed. Now we have to move forward, and we have to come within this other layouts, like we have this oxygen calculate one. Okay, so what we gonna do here is to add the screen for which the result will be there. Okay, so this screen will contain the result, and we have to change the constraint layout to linear layout. Okay, now we have to copy such properties from process to this calculate, as these are same. So just copy and paste it here, or you can type, it's your choice. Okay, so it's just like that. Again, now what I have to do here is to split it. Okay, then I have to add a text view here. So the text view width and height will be match parent and 70 dp, and then it will contain the text as oxygen label. Okay, now we have to style this text view, so giving the text color and all these things like that. So what text color we want, we're using it from the Android, and then color, then I think it should be blue, and it should be dark blue. So just remove bright and add dark. Okay, now the size of this text view will also be changed. So the size should be just like that, 27, and then the alignment should be in center. Okay, no issues. The text view is created. Again we have to move it to upward. So here what we're gonna do is to add another text view here. First of all, giving as the width and height as wrap content and 65 dp, and for now we have to give the margin from the top side, and it should be 20 dp. Again, the margin from the bottom side is also taken as 20 dp. Okay, now we have to add the text here. So I'm adding the text. Actually, this text view will contain the actual result, the actual oxygen label. That's why I have given the text as XX. Okay, then the text size is 28. It should be more than like 28. Okay, because it's an important thing. Like we are showing the result here. And now the text style should be bold. Okay, so this text view is also completed, and after that what we gonna do next, let me see. Just we have to see if I have to copy this text view and paste it here. Okay, so I've done the same thing. Now I have to change some properties here, and other properties can remain same or will be modified. Let's see. So the width and height is done. Again the text size. So this text size should be 18. Okay, and now also we have to change the text. So here we will be giving that normal range for oxygen label. So and then slash and for the new line. So here I have to add it like 95 to 100 is the normal label. Okay, and then alignment of the text should be center. Okay, looking good. Again we have to remove this margins. Okay, no issues, and make the margin as 20. Okay, this text view is completed. Now we have to see whether this margin is working. Yeah, it is working. And for now, let me see what else I can do. I have to add the button here, and this button is there for sharing your result. Like you have calculated the label and you want to share it by email or WhatsApp, then you can do it here. Okay, so it's like that text color, and then we have this button with the width and height as match and wrap content. And now I have to give the margins, like margin from the bottom side is given as 50 dp. Again for the text for this particular button is there. Okay, so it is like share your result. Okay, no issues, and now this button is closed. And again if see like padding is required 15 dp. Okay, make it 10. We are changing the values to see that what value is preferable. Also the ID for this particular button will be add like send O2. Okay, so this particular view is also completed. Let me remove this extra space from here. I've removed it. Okay, no issues. So our design part is completed. Now we have to come within this oxygen calculate activity. As the smaller activities, I'm taking it on the first preference and completing them. So this is the calculate activity. This will actually show the result into that design that we have made just now. So we want date and date format. Why we want date and date format? Actually if we click on share your result, then it will contain the oxygen label at that particular date. So we have to take the date from the system. That's why I'm giving this date, and then date format is also important, like in which format, in which pattern you want to show your date, just like that. And like that date today, then we have to get that today's date, then calendar.get instance, then get time. Okay, no issue. And now O2 and O2. Okay, again we have to come within this on create method, and what we gonna do within this on create method is to give like date equals to df dot format, and then pass today within it. Okay, so the battery is a little low. I have to charge the laptop just right now. Okay, so now what I have to take up my charger and then let me charge it. Okay, successfully applied again. And now what I have to do here, I have taken the date and date format and passed today's date to that particular format here. And what else I will do, I will just map up those text views here. So this is result of O2 and I'm gonna do that find view by ID, then r.id dot, but it is not showing that ID. Okay, so I have to go within that XML and have to give the ID as I forgot to give the ID for the important text view. Okay, so I have to go within this file oxygen calculate XML. Again I have then select that XX containing text view and give the ID here. Okay, so I'm giving the ID and the ID should be O2R. Okay, no issues. And now we'll be able to just map it. Okay, and finally we have mapped it. It is showing. Okay, and now what I have to do is to do it for the second things also, like it is for what, it is not the text view, it is that button. Okay, so we have that button for sharing the test result, and now given that we have to map with the correct ID like sand02. Okay, perfectly fine, no issues right now. And what I have to do here is to make a bundle and bundle to get that intent. Actually the oxygen process activity is sending data to this oxygen calculate activity, so we have to get that data and that data is coming with intent bundles. So here we are making the bundle instance and getting the result from the process, as we have to pass it from the process and get it within this activity. So we are just getting it. Okay, o2 equals to bundle dot get int, and here we have to pass the key as the data comes in key value form, that's why. And now we have to just set text for this particular text view and just string dot value of o2. Okay, perfectly fine, no issues till now. And what I have to do next, let me see if there is like so2, we have to set that set on click listener for that particular share your text result. Okay, so that button we have to give its action, and the action is given by set on click listener in Android. So I'm doing the same here. We have intent, we need action send intent, like intent I equals to intent and then intent dot action send. Okay, and now I dot set type, and I have to pass within this like message rfc822. Okay, again what I have to do is like I have to put that thing within that message. Actually this whole will show the result like I dot put extra, and what this extra will contain like intent dot extra, and again we have like extra text. Okay, so I've given that and now the value. So here I have to give the value like oxygen label, and then date, we also have to give the date, like at which date you have taken the test. So for the new line /n, and then concatenation for this string, like we are adding that plus, and then again add, and now that particular date Okay, so date is added. And now what next I have to do is, like, let me see, like date plus give some spaces, like oxygen level at this particular date at 10th of May is, and then printing the oxygen labels. Okay, so I forgot one thing, like I have to add it, put extra. Okay, and then intent dot extra text subject actually. Okay, so the subject, and then the value for this is like giving the value oxygen meter. Okay, so put extra is given and all these things. Now to add that particular try catch, and within the try I have to start that particular intent, like intent dot create chooser, and then pass the intent instance, and then we have to give the title for this. So I'm giving the title as sand dot dot. Okay, no issues. Again the catch block, as if we get any type of exceptions, then this will able to catch that exception and will not make your program crash, will not make your app crash. Then I'm just making the tours dot make text, and like if your mobile phone or a smartphone is not having any app to share the data, then it will show that no sharing app installed on this device. Generally it won't happen, but we are adding this check. That's a good practice. Okay, so the set on click listener is successfully done. Let me remove this extra space from here and see if there is error. Okay, I have to place that semicolon. Okay, and now the set on click listener for that is done, and I'm removing that extra space. And what next I have to do is to see, like on back pressed, and just adding the super call to it. Okay, so now this is done, this activity oxygen calculate. Now we will move forward to that particular activity, like what activity we want here is main activity. Okay, so now we have to work on this main activity. So within this on create method of the main activity, we have to add up the button, and thus this button is for that starting that particular oxygen activity process, oxygen process activity. Okay, so we'll just add that button and map it with that, then just set that set on click listener, and moving to that particular activity by intent. So this will contain just like within 1 minute it will be completing to add 3-4 lines here, and then on. Okay, and now like intent, and then to get that new intent and getting the context again, and giving that particular activity name, and that activity name is oxygen process dot class. Okay, so giving that here, and now we have to start that particular activity and we'll finish it. Okay, so this is done, the action work is given. Okay, so this activity is uh, completed. Okay, now we have to move to the important activity, and that activity will responsible for all the calculations and all the processing kind of thing. So this activity named as oxygen process. Okay, so first we have to do is the variable initialization here, and we'll be starting it from the final string, and then we have that tag here. Okay, so tag is TAG, it's P capital, and giving the name as oxygen measurement. Okay, no issues. Again, here we have to use that particular math library, and it will be used on a vast label within this activity. That's why this activity I have left it for the end. And now this atomic processing, atomic volume processing, this is also the part of that math library. And then we have the surface for camera, like camera should be null. Again we are making another, and what it is, and it is like surface view. Okay, as we have surface holder, and then we will having that surface view, surface holder, preview holder, and it should also be null. Again we have what, let me see, it should be a surface view for now. So I'm adding that surface view here, again making it to preview and making null. Again we have what left out, it's big lock. Okay, so making the variable and slicing it for that also, so doing it, and like wake lock, and it is from the power manager, that's why it is showing that power manager dot big lock. Okay, no issues we have here. And here I have to make another variable, and it says like toast. For showing the toast, we'll be using this, like it will work as an instance for that. Okay, and after giving that particular toast and importing it by pressing alt plus enter, and now the progress bar, as we are using that progress bar while processing the results. Okay, now the prog p and int c. Okay, so this is for the progress bar, like how it will move. Again, now we have frequency and timer variables, like we have to sampling that particular frequency and all these things. So I have already told you in the starting of the video that what is the concept behind that. So it is just like color, we have red and blue and their intensity and frequency, and based on that we are calculating it. You can read it on the internet, as there are journals published by IEEE on it, like how we can get the oxygen label for the smartphones, how we can calculate them within the smartphone using the camera. Okay, no issues, but note one thing, that this is not for the clinical use. Okay, this is we are just making this video for the educational purpose only. Okay, and now there's some red and some blue, like I have already told you the thing. And then I have to go for array list also, like we have to calculate the average of this red and blue frequencies. So we have to make the array list of double type actually. So I'm making that, like array list double red average list, and then I'm also initializing it in this part. Okay, and then I have to do the same for that blue also. So just giving it like blue average and then list. Okay, and it is like array list, and we have to make a counter variable also. Okay, so the counter variable and initialize it with 0. No issues, like we are moving it in a flow. Okay, again what I have to do here is to like within this on create method and I have to just map up the XML and Java by using that find view ID. So I have to do it here only. And now what will I'll do here is to first of all that preview and camera, then holder, and then surface view, and adding that callback for the surface view. So all these things will be done here. like add callback and pass it. Like what we have to pass? Surface callback, and we have to make that surface callback later, and it will show you error for right now. Okay, and now we have to also do one thing like preview holder. We have to also set its type like surface type, post buffer, and all that. Okay, so this is done. Preview is given, and then particular callback is given, and now we have to set view. So preview holder dot set type. Okay, and then surface type post buffers. Okay, so this one, like the fourth one, the and one. Okay, then take it here. Okay, no issues. Now that particular progress bar, you have to map it and set its initial progress as 0. Okay, so I'm just mapping it O2PB and then setting its progress. Okay, so O2 dot set progress and passing 0 to it. After that, I have to do the backlog initialization. This backlog actually forces the smartphone to stay on while the processing is going on. That's why we are using it, and for that using we have to make the object or instance of power manager, and then get that system service. Again we have that backlog and getting the new backlog with it, and then just full backlog power manager dot full backlog, and we have to give the tag, like you can give any tag like not off the screen and all that. Okay, so now this is given. Now we have to make override a method called on configuration change, and it will prevent the system from restarting your activity during certain configuration changes but receive a callback when configuration do change, so that you can manually update your activity such as screen rotation or keyboard availability and language issues. Okay, so I'm just doing it here only on configuration change, and no issues. Just you have to remove this annotation part from here, so just remove it. I'll be just removing it like that. Okay, no issues, it is almost done. Okay, again what I have to do here is to make like wake log plus open device camera and set orientation to 90°, and then store the system time as a start time for analyzing the process. Also your activity will start to interact with the user, and this is a good place to begin the animation and open exclusive device such as camera and that particular progress one. So for that we are using that on resume, and within that on resume we are acquiring the backlog and opening the camera and setting the camera display orientation, and then starting getting that particular start time. But before that, what I have to do here is I have wrongly get that import of the camera. I have to get it from the hardware one, that is the second one. It will show you the multiple choice, so choose the second one so that this will not show you any error. Okay, so here you can see that, and it will open like that. Okay, pass 90 to it, and again we have to get the start time from the system. So system dot current time it will give you the time. Okay, now on resume completed. Now what I have to do here, I have to add the callback for callback the frames, then release the camera and wake log and initialize the camera to null, and it is called as the part of the activity life cycle when activity is going into the background, but it has not yet been killed. Then the counterpart to the on resume is on pause when activity, like we have two activities like X and Y. So Y activity is launched in front of activity X, then this callback will invoked on X, and Y will not able to create it until the X activity is on pause method is written. So I have to make sure that I'm doing it correctly according to the life cycle of the activity. So added that on pause. Okay, and now the this is for getting the frames data from the camera and starting the process. Okay, so it is preview callback. Okay, and within this we have on preview frame, and we are getting the data and camera and data in the form of byte array, and we are checking if data or size is null, then we have to return that null pointer exception here. So doing it here only, and then what I have to do is like now the size equals to camera dot get parameter and get the preview size from the camera, and again we have to check for the size. If size is getting it to null, and what we gonna do, first of all get preview size. Okay, if the size comes to the null, then we have to throw the exception here, the same exception that we have thrown in the earlier line. So throw new and then null pointer exception, no issues. And then if it automatically sets the value to the given updated value, the current value is equals to the expected value. So for that we are getting that if processing and then comparing and set, then returning it. Okay, and for now what we gonna do, we gonna put the height and the width of the camera inside the variables. Like we are getting it from the size, like width is size dot width and the height is size dot height. Then we have that red and blue average. Okay, and then finally we gonna just decode them by using the methods that we have created within that first class called as image processing. Okay, so it is we have to pass just cloning the data and pass height and width to it. Okay, so first of all let me make this, like we have to call that methods like image processing dot color decoder, and then we have to clone, just pass the clone, and here the height and width and the type. Okay, so here we have one, we have passed one. So 1 stands for the red intensity, and 2 stands for the blue intensity, and the 3 will stand for the green. Okay, but we are using the blue and red, so 1 and 2, and then we are summing it, and again doing the same thing for the blue, and we'll be summing it to the sum blue part. Okay, passing the type 2 because the intensity for the blue is 2. Okay, just giving its type like it's a, and now doing it and adding it to that particular array list that we have made. So we're gonna just add it, the red one to the red one and the blue one to the blue list. Okay, then what we gonna do next is to just plus that counter, but first we have to add that blue one. Okay, I have added it, and now I have to go for this particular like counter plus plus and counting the number of frames for a particular time period, like I'm taking it for the 30 seconds. Okay, now we have to check if we got a good rad intensity to process, and if we didn't get that, then we have to return to the condition and set it again until we get the good rad intensity to make the further process. So we have to add a check here, like it is less than 20, then inc 0, then progress equals to inc, and then set progress, and making the processing to like progress dot set progress, pass that to proc p2, and like processing dot set false. Okay, now if this check is passed, then we have to come within that again for the end time and getting the time in seconds. It is to just to get the frames. Okay, so how we gonna get that particular time period of 30 seconds? So that's why we are getting this like end time and then total time in seconds. like end time minus start time will be for total time in second. Okay, and to convert it to seconds we have to divide by 1000. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is total time in second should be greater than equals to 30. Then when 30 seconds of the measuring passes to the following, then we choose 30 seconds to take half sample, since 60 seconds is normally a full sample. Okay, so we are taking the 30 second the half sample, and the half sample will be so the sample frequency, and will be getting it from counter divided by total time in seconds. Okay, then we have the another arrays of red and blue intensities, like we have to convert the list to that array of double size. Okay, array of double type. Okay, and then we have to use that frequencies for like getting it for blue, like blue average list, and then to array. Okay, and then new double and passing the size for this blue list dot size. Okay, no issues. Now the HR frequency will be taken up by using the library that math. We have FFT in that, and we just have to pass out our values. Okay, and it will give the frequency. Okay, the higher frequency will give up that. You have to pass the rad and counter and then sampling. Okay, no issues. Then we have the BPM will be taken up like high frequency into 60. Okay, because the standard time is 60 seconds for the BPM. Okay, now what we gonna do is to get the mean values. After that we gonna get the mean values. So what does that mean values means here? Like mean values is to get that sum of red and then dividing it by the counter. So that's the method by which you will get the mean values. So I'm getting it for red and getting it for blue. Then like some blue divide by counter. Again we have to make a for loop until counter, and then we have to add it into the buffer. Like we are making the buffer for red and blue and just mapping it with that standard blue and red by the help of this mean. Like it is a kind of standard deviation we are getting. Okay, so first of all we have to get that buffer, and then the standard deviation kind of thing, like standard db equals to buffer b minus mean, and then we have to multiply it by buffer b minus mean of b. Okay, no issues. And after that we have to do the same thing for the red one also. Okay, so getting that double, and after that we have to create the buffer for red here. Okay, so I'm creating it for red and getting in the red eye and doing the same thing that I have done within that previous step. Okay, so standard red equals to standard red, then we're gonna do that buffer r minus mean r, then multiply buffer r minus mean r. Okay, after that we have to also take the variance. Okay, so after this will get the standard thing, then we'll be moving forward for the variance part. Okay, so these are all the mathematical operations that we are doing right now, and for that what is like variance of red, like it will be like square root of standard deviation and divide by the counter minus 1. Okay, so variance of red, and in the same way we have to take the variance of blue. Okay, then like standard B, and then counter by counter minus 1. Okay, then we have that final variance divided by mean, and then variance of B divided by mean B. Okay, so doing the same here also. It's almost like mathematical process, easy. And then we gonna do with that oxygen part, like it's having SpO2 have like 100 minus 5 into R, like we are minimizing a error. Okay, like every calculation has some errors, that's why we have to take up that error also, like 95%, and then we have to pass it, like make it to integer value, just typecasting it. Okay, then we have to add a check. This is very important check, like if oxygen level is less than 80, and then we have 99, and then the BPM is also taking part within this by the help of that or logical or operator. And what we gonna do here is to just making it gonna just affect that progress bar and the main toast. Then we will be showing the toast like your measurement is failed and all these. So here we have to do that, like increment is set to 0, and then progress P is set to increment, then progress O2 dot set progress, we are passing that progress P, and then we're gonna work on main toast, and within that main toast, like toast dot make text and getting the application context to it, and then we have to print that your measurement failure, it's a measurement failure. And then we have the toast dot length, so take up the length as like you, and then we have to add that show. Okay, so we can do it by another process also, like we have to add the show within the another line, as we have made the instance in the starting. So just we have to remove that show from the previous line, and this show will work according to it. Just remove it. Okay, and make it, I think, short will be okay, not require the long. Okay, then after that we have to get the start time, and start time is taken from the system dot current time millis, and then we have the counter, and the counter value is set to 0. Then we have processing set to false, and finally we will be returning it. Okay, and added the return statement. I have to remove this extra space right now, so I'm just removing the extra space from here. Okay, now we have to just check if O2 gets some result and it is not equals to 0, then we have to add some text, some check. Okay, so I'm adding the check here, like O2 is not equals to 0. Then we have to pass this within that oxygen result or oxygen calculate activity with the help of intent. I've told you like a bundle is getting the value, so from here the bundle is getting the value. Okay, so first of all we have to make the intent here, and I'm making the intent, then passing the result value to it by using put extra, and then we'll be starting the activity, and like we have to start the activity, and then we gonna finish it. Okay, and then finish. Okay, so we have to check if red average is not equals to 0, then also the progress bar will work from here, like we have to do like increment plus plus, and then we have to divide it by some value, so I'll be increment plus plus and then dividing it by 34, and then finally the setting the progress for the progress bar prog O2 by prog P. Okay, otherwise in the else case we'll be setting it to false, so here false. Now the important thing, the surface callback here. Okay, so the important thing, surface callback, we have to add it. So at what place we have to add the surface callback? Like this is the on preview and this is camera preview. Okay, we have to add the semicolon also. Okay, so I've added the semicolon. Now I have to work on that surface callback, surface holder callback. So the surface holder dot callback, then surface callback equals to new surface holder dot callback. Okay, and then we have these methods which we have to implement. Okay, like what we have to do within this on created app to add the try catch for the camera, we'll be just setting the display and setting the preview callback within this. Okay, so set preview display, passing that preview holder to it. Again we have the camera dot set preview callback and we have to pass the preview callback to it. And then we have the catch block for this particular try block. So I'm adding the catch block here, throwable t, and then we have to do just like log statement here, just add that plus t. Okay, so no issues. Again we have to come within this surface changed. Okay, so this is completed the created one, and now we have to come within this surface on changed. Okay, and what I gonna do within this surface change, like camera parameters, get the parameters, and we have to also set up the flash mode, or the flash torch should be on. So we'll be just doing it by the help of parameters. Camera parameters will give you the access to that, and like camera dot parameters, then flash mode torch. Okay, no issues. Then we have to work on that camera size and getting the smallest preview size by passing the width, height and the parameters to it. Okay, so this is a custom method that we have to create. Okay, so making it after this method. Okay, width, height and what we have, parameters. Okay, no issues. And here we have to add a check here. If size is not equals to null, then we have to parameter dot set preview size. We have to set up the preview size according to the size dot width and height. Okay, so like set preview size, and we have to pass the size dot width and the size dot height. Okay, so just size dot height here, height. Okay, and then what we gonna do next is to just starting the preview after this check, like camera dot set parameters, then passing the parameters to it. After that, camera dot start preview. Okay, so it is done. This method is completed, and we have to ignore that surface destroy method, and we have to work on that get smallest preview size. So we have to create this method. So I'm just creating it, like I have to create within this oxygen process. So this method is created right now, and within this method, first of all, let me remove this extra space, and it will just work on that camera size and result kind of things, and get you the supported preview size according to the devices, and will make the resulted image into a particular dimensions. Okay, dimensions means height and width. Okay, so size, first of all setting it to null, then we are getting like for loop camera size, and then such that it should be from parameters dot get support preview sizes. Okay, and then we'll be applying the check for width and height. It should be less than equals to width, and size dot height should be less than equals to height. Okay, and if the result there will be a result, and if the result and the result will be null, then we have to set up that result should equals to size. So just check, another check, then result equals to size. Again we have to come within that else block. If the result is not equals to null, then we have to get that result area by multiplying the result dot width and height. So result area equals to result dot width multiplying by result dot height. Okay, and then we have the new area by multiplying the size width and size height. Okay, so size width, and it should be multiplied by size dot height. Okay, and then we have to check if new area is less than equals to result area, then we have to set up that result equals to size. Okay, and finally we gonna return the result from here. Okay, so after just removing this space, I will just be getting the return statement, and what we are returning, we are returning the result part. Okay, no issues, lots of space, I have to remove it, and the last method is there for on back pressed override. Okay, just we have to move to main activity from process. Okay, so just adding the intent here, intent I equals to new intent, and then passing oxygen process dot this, and then we have a main activity like oxygen process, it should be oxygen process dot this, then main activity dot class. Okay, then we have to start the activity and add the finish check. Okay, so there's like start activity and add the finish one, finish. Okay, finish method is added. So this is also completed, but there are some errors. Let me check what kind of errors we have. Okay, so I have to add that semicolon here, and then what I gonna do here is to check for this, add the annotation for the new versions like suppress lint. Okay, so now this is error free, only warnings are there, no errors. I have to run this, but before that I'm just scrolling it down, so that if you have any kind of error, then you can pause the video and correct your error. So just scrolling it down, and please subscribe our channel. Also make a shout out for our channel within your college WhatsApp groups or with your college mates. Okay, and tell them to subscribe, share our projects. Okay, so let me run the app and show the result to you. Okay, so now it is Gradle is building. After that it will be installing, but in the meantime I have to tell you a few things, like you don't have to use it for the clinical purpose, you just have to use it for the study purpose. Okay, so here we got one error as we forgot to add this implementation of this particular dependency, so we have to add it. Okay, so don't worry about it. Let me check what is the issue. Okay, so the same issue, I was right about it. So I'll just go to that Gradle script and then build.gradle module label, and I have to add one line there, then this error will removed. Okay, so just have to add that Apache dependency here. So just add it just like that, and then click on sync now. As I've added org.apache.commons, then math 3.6.1 version, it is downloading, you can see, and now these errors will be removed. Okay, so here you can see that Gradle is also building and the app will installed. Okay, so it is installing, you can see in the bottom, right most bottom, it is installing. Okay, then after installing, it is launch succeed, and here I gonna show you the way. So this is the phone, and you have to get your fingers on your camera like that. Okay, it should cover the camera, and then we have to show this demo, and we have to wait for that result part, like it is taking some time, but it will show you the result. Or if you are not touching that camera properly or not covering that, then it will show you that measurement failure toast. Okay, so this will keep on working. And by clicking on share on result, you can share a result also, the 96 oxygen level. Okay, so again I have to check, click on measurement start, and I've clicked, and just put your fingers on the camera as I have shown you few moment earlier, and it is also now saying like that. So like dunning with that, and also so this will show you the result as it showed you the previously. And make sure